Hi, everybody. Welcome to to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 40 plus chapters, stretching from Chapel Hill, Raleigh, and Durham, the triangle we call it, all the way to Jacksonville and New Bern and Fayetteville and points in between. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. And our local small business story this week is Ben Horak, owner of Dream Entertainment NC. Ben is part of the Jacksonville chapter. They meet Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. at the Farm Bureau office on Richland Highway in Jacksonville. So if you're ever in the area on a Tuesday morning, want to meet some solid professionals making stuff happen, please drop by and visit. Ben, how are you today?
Good, Mike. How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, man, glad to have you on the show. So Ben in Dream with Dream Entertainment NC, he holds the events seat in the chapter. They do everything from large weddings, school events, military balls, outdoor celebrations, things like that. So Ben, I've learned did a little bit of event stuff way back when, and it's a skill putting events together, isn't it?
Yeah. There's so many more moving parts that goes into an event. People just don't understand,
No.
and that's kind of what we do. We put it all together for somebody. I mean, when somebody says they want a band, okay, cool, they want a band, right? So you think, okay, I need five guys on stage playing for a couple hours. Well, they're not understanding
Mm.
the permits needed, the to get all the equipment there, the sound engineers, the time for all the band to get there, the setup, the sound checks, and then all the way through the event, and then tear down and getting back home. They don't think about all the stuff it takes in the back to make it all happen. So yeah, events can be quite a bit.
I always wonder with people that I have on the show with the line of work they're in, if that's in their blood from a parent, an aunt, or an uncle or somebody. Anybody in your bloodline do events in the past?
No, none of them really do any kind of big events. We have a very loud family. They're not they're not very quiet at all. But my family's full of entrepreneurs, so we always have that drive to go do something different. So I think that's kind of where this came from.
So what made you pull the trigger on a event company?
So that's actually a funny story. All right, so I got out of the Marines in 2007. My wife was currently in the Marines at the time. She got out in 2008. So I get out of the Marines and I kind of did the thing. I got out. I kind of just relaxed. I didn't do anything, and just kind of honestly started getting kind of lazy. And my wife looked at me with the Marine face and she goes, "Look, you need to get a hobby,"
Yeah.
And she just kind of gets sick of me hanging around the house. And I told her, I said, "Well, I used to DJ in high school." And she says, "Yep, go do that again." Right. So I started DJing, did bars, some clubs, things I did in high school. And then I picked up a wedding. Right. And I've never DJed a wedding before this point, and I found out that weddings have a lot more detail. There's a lot more going on to a wedding than just spinning music at a party. Right. And, being a Marine and have that mentality, it really is something that I started to really enjoy. So I really started honing my skills in the wedding industry to the point where after about 5 years, I was very well known in my area. And with that recognition came larger events. I've gotten events up in Buffalo, New York for some football players. I've done some for the Carolina Panthers. I've done some down in Tampa Bay for some of those guys as well. And it's got starting to get sent all over the place. And how it kind of morphed to where I'm at now is in my industry, there's kind of an unwritten rule where if somebody asked me, "Hey, do you know a good photographer?" I would say, "Sure, go with Mike." And Mike would kind of do the good old boy thing and say, "Thanks, Ben," and pay you back 10%. That's kind of just how this
Mm.
industry works, right? Well, after a while, it just kind of hit me. I said, "Well, I know all these great vendors. I know they're up to the level that I like to bring to these clients. Why don't we just put this all under one roof, under one contract? One insurance, one point of contact, one payment for the client instead of chasing all these different, contracts,
Oh,
and just put it all under here, and I'll just pay everybody out." And once that light bulb moment hit about 2.5 years ago, it's just ballooned to the point where I never thought we'd be at this kind of level. So yeah, it's very cool to see how it came from just DJing little clubs to doing large outdoor community events with 10,000 people out there. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty fun
that's
way to do it.
that's interesting. Everything under one umbrella for payment. My guess is that doesn't happen at I don't know if it's just the weddings, but a number of events you do where you got to not. I have two sons, so we just had to pay for the bachelor party. I mean, well, I did. for the rehearsal dinner.
Mhm.
And so, the wedding stuff, my son's father-in-law paid for that. But so the guys you are working with now, they were good with that setup.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's funny because a lot of these guys, when we first started this, I'd call this guy, I'm gonna use you as an example. "Hey, Mike, are you available, October 13th for a wedding, and you're a photographer?" "Yep, I'm available, let's do it." Right? And over the last year, we revisited all of our vendors and kind of did some renegotiation because I'm trying to get the pricing
Mhm.
down, so we can make some profit, but we're also discounting the client, right? And I'm gonna give you an example here. My photographer, I like going back to my photographer. If you called her, her base package is $3,500. That's it. There's no negotiations. 3,500. Well, we give her so many weddings that we actually pay 18. The client buys it from us for 22 and they save money. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we got a little profit built in. The client saves a ton of money and we can bundle and save thousands and thousands of dollars. And with all of our vendors, they're all on board with this because they didn't realize how much business we'd get them. I mean, we did 123 weddings last year and 219 total events. So we're getting these guys business to the point where they don't got to worry
Wow.
about their own advertising. They just
Yeah.
know that, hey, Ben's got an event for us
Mhm.
and we're going to go out and do our best. So yeah, it's awesome. Our vendors really love how we're making this happen for them.
Having gotten to know some photographers through BNI, I've learned that wedding photography is a love or hate thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Some
Yeah,
can't
well,
run far enough from weddings.
that's kind of the wedding industry in general too, and you got to find the clients that's right for your business, and that's just in any business too. The wedding industry can be tough. It can absolutely be tough. But if you have newer people trying to do an experienced position, it's very very difficult. That's why you got to hire professionals. You got to
Mhm.
hire people that I can put my label on their chest and I can send them out. And those kind of people are very far and few, especially in my area. There's not a lot of people in my area. You're up in what, Raleigh, I think you
Yep.
said? There's a big market out there. There's tons of people to choose from. Out here, there's just not. So finding those professionals is actually very difficult out here.
What about venues? Are you factored into that conversation?
Yeah, so we have a lot of contracts with venues. Basically, if a client says, "Hey, X venue told me about you guys," we actually give them an additional discount on top
Mhm.
because we get a lot of business through these venues. Some venues don't even want. They say, "Hey, look, we don't want anything back, but help the client out," or "Hey, you advertise for us, we'll advertise for you." So yeah, we're getting in with a lot of the bigger venues out here that are hitting the clientele we're trying to be at.
How far out will you guys go?
Well, we have teams actually up in Raleigh. We have teams from Raleigh to the coast, really. Basically, we have I call them teams or hubs, but we have Goldsboro, Jacksonville, New Bern, Wilmington, Outer Banks, Raleigh, Fayetteville. We're building a team in Charlotte, and yeah, we're in I say Fayetteville, yeah, Fayetteville, Kinston. We've got teams all around the state, so
Mhm.
we're really trying to push out west as far as we can right now.
Are you the chief marketing officer as well?
I am the CEO, the CFO. I am everything, and the
So
chief planning
yep,
officer, all of it. Yep,
yep. And you're the complaint line too, aren't you?
that's it. That's
Yep.
100% right. Yeah.
How many of the 123 weddings, how many of those were you present in some capacity at?
Me personally,
Yep.
so last year, if I remember the numbers, I think we ran through these a couple weeks ago. I personally, I think I did 53 myself. Because it's good to have a name, and
Yep.
people want to request me when I go, which is great. But as a business owner, when I'm doing, wedding A, and I've got six more weddings going on that day with everybody else, it's difficult, trying to keep that professionalism. So yeah, I did 53. Now, personally, I'm going to start fading myself out of weddings in general. I'm going to focus more on the larger outdoor events and the corporate events, the things that require just more of a touch. If somebody
Good.
calls us wanting a DJ for a corporate event, you start talking to them and they don't really want a DJ. They want professional lighting, they want professional sound, and it's a whole different layer
Mhm.
of expertise and experience needed for those. So I'm going to start fading myself out of weddings and start focusing on the larger corporate events.
So at the weddings, you were mostly there as a DJ?
Yeah, yeah, I'm
Okay.
one of the DJs. Yeah.
Right. So picking the music is tricky. Do you
Mhm.
prefer the bride and groom who have a playlist or the ones that say just make it something everybody can dance to?
No, no, we actually have an app for that. I helped develop an app. It's called Vibo, and they can go right there on their phone, and they can basically see a timeline of their wedding or their event or whatever it is, and they can start selecting music right there. So what that does, it's being digital. We're not limited to, okay, choose my playlist, right, or choose DJ X's playlist. We have everything. It's just how it is nowadays. We're not carrying around crates of records like we used to back in the day. But yeah, so we have an app for it. So they go on there, they fill out the app. I have a few meetings with them prior to the wedding, for example. We'll make sure that they have the correct version of that song. Nowadays, there's so many different versions of a song, and we'll go through that with them over a Zoom call. But yeah, so having everything digital now is just a complete lifesaver. I used to lose emails, you lose paper, things happen. Right here, all on the
Yep.
phone.
Nice. The most interesting first dance song comes to mind for you.
Most interesting. Well, there's a couple that come to mind. A lot of people do custom first dances, which is a lot of fun. Where we had one where the groom wanted more of a country song. I can't remember what it was, and the bride wanted like gangster rap, And so we had a fun mix for that one where we started off really slow. I think it was Tennessee whiskey that he played, and then we mixed into California Love from Tupac. And so it's just, you get some craziness going on out there. We had one actually, and this person actually works for me now, but her wedding, they actually had a kilt style Scottish wedding. And during their first dance, they set it up where she was actually kidnapped and they had a sword fight. Of course, it was the groom and best man. They had a sword fight and they had to fight for her honor. And it was like the coolest thing ever. Like
Wow.
this is kind of stuff you don't hear about very often. So it's not necessarily the dance, but the theatrics that go along with it sometimes.
All right. Well, you do like different, right?
Yeah.
Because you see enough of the same thing every week. So,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
uh, 6 weddings in a day?
Yeah. Yeah. 6
Wow.
weddings a day. Now, September, October, and November is the busiest time of the year for us, right? There was one weekend we had 6, and typically during those months we have a minimum 3 weddings a weekend. There's weekends we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday wedding. Just running the whole
Yeah.
teams through. So yeah, it's not unheard of to have that happen.
Wow. And I'm a Southern boy and a college football fan, and I just don't understand why people book weddings during the fall.
Oh, and look, I'm a football guy too. So I'm
Yep.
from the north, right?
Yep.
I'm originally from Minnesota. I came here in '03 with the Marines, and I'm actually a Michigan Wolverines guy, right? So I like Wolverines football because no one's a Gophers fan. Find me a Gophers
No.
fan, right?
No.
So, and I get it. The funny thing is, the Saturday after Thanksgiving is the Michigan Ohio State game.
Yep.
Right? We all know that game, right? I do not book myself, and I tell my people I am not working this day. That's
Nope.
the day that's the one Saturday I am not working. You guys have a great time. I'll pay you, but I'm not working.
Now, do you get requests usually from the groom's side? Hey, can you put a TV in the reception area?
Yes, yes, I do, and that's cool. I'll do it, no problem.
Yep.
And actually, the funny thing is, a friend of mine, my neighbor, he's an Ohio State guy, and he says, "Man, when you do your outdoor concerts, because we have a big stage and outdoor event, he goes, when you do your outdoor concerts, you go, how hard would it be to put one of your TVs on the side of the stage, just silent, but have games on over there?" I was like, "Dude, that's a great idea. Like, let's try this." And we did it. We just put a TV under a tent, connected it to the laptop, and we ran a show through it. And man, it was awesome because it was a community event where there's rides and food and all this stuff, and the guys are just getting drug around. These dads are. So they start bringing their chairs over to our tent while the concert's right
Yeah.
next to them, watching the game, and their families walking around the venue having a great old time.
Yeah.
So we've had some things like that before, and it worked out.
Something for everybody.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the moment in time that everything needed to come together for you to literally start Dream Entertainment. You'd mentioned that you've been DJing and then you realize, hey, there's something more, but what really came together to help you make that decision?
Well, I lost my job is one thing it was. I've sold cars for several years. I worked in the service department for a while, and it was right after COVID, and they had a lot of cutbacks, and I was out of work, you know. And so at that point, I was DJing on the side. It was just fun, making a little extra side cash. And in this area, it's different. There's not a lot of market out here for much. There's really
Yeah.
not a lot of income in my area. And it's either, okay, I either go find a 9 to 5, job, or I really hit this hard. And we had some money in savings, and we made a decision to go for it. one of those all-in kind of things, and it was scary. It was really scary going all in like that. But we did. We hit advertising really hard, and we ended up having a record year that year. I mean, that was a big year for me. And from then on, it was just like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and it's just been rolling ever since.
So trying to get word out on especially a brand new business, what were some of the things you did the first few weeks, first couple of months religiously to get the word out?
Absolutely. It was social media.
Okay.
If you got to look at your market. Every business is different. You got to know exactly who your market is and who you're selling to, right? My market are young Marines in my area. They're typically 21 to 27 is about the age that they're going to get married at. So where are these people at? Where am I going to find them? Am I going to find them on a billboard? Probably not. Am I going to find them on TV? Maybe. I'm definitely not going to find them on radio, right? So I hit Facebook and Instagram and TikTok hard, 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 hard. I brought on an editor. I brought on a videographer to come record the events and make little cuts. So I hit that really hard, and that's where really most of the budget went to for them. But once that started rolling, we got the Facebook page going, we got the TikTok page going. Once followers start coming through, you can kind of just it start naturally flowing from then on out. So for me, it was all social media.
Yeah, and I'm glad you acknowledge that because a lot of people, and you've seen this in business, especially in with elevator pitches, they ask for any and every. So,
No,
well, if I
yeah,
do LinkedIn and this and networking and this, eventually word will get out. And it's like sometimes no. So,
right.
but you're right, and especially with folks in business, yeah. If you're going, yeah. So I'm glad you guys made the decision social
Well, and
media
that's the
because
thing. We talk about that in our BNI a lot. What specifically is your ask this
yeah,
week, right? And you can definitely tell the people who's been doing this for a while to the people that's coming in, right? New people that coming in and says, "Hey, I want anybody and everybody."
yep,
And we're like, "Look, dude, you don't want anybody and everybody. You want the right client for your business." And I'm gonna give you a prime example here. We are a very upscale service. We're not for everybody. And that's cool. That's fine.
mm,
If somebody calls me and says, hey, they want a DJ and they've got, a $400 budget, hey, I'm not your guy, but this guy would be, and I'll refer him out. And that's cool. And people that come into business, in any business, it's hard for them to understand because they just want all of it,
mm,
and all of it is not the best for you. The people who have these huge events for us, that's been $50,000 and everything. They say thank you and give us a referral. People who we have a discount and do all that. It's honestly it's a harder job. It's very difficult to get a good review. It's just you got to find the client that's best for your company.
yeah. It's funny you mentioned that. I was on your Facebook page yes over the weekend, and you were talking about people asking if bands can volunteer their time.
Yeah,
I know what you mean, but talk about that because I know you get that question.
a
And by the way,
lot, man.
when I read that, I laughed. So, but yeah,
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, okay, I'm a Marine. I'm a veteran, right? And somebody reached out to us about a veterans event and they want a band. Great. So I talked to them, see what they're looking for. And they basically, through this 2-hour long conversation, says, look, we can't pay for you guys, but we'll feed you. Okay.
yeah,
So I need to take 6 band members away from their families, bring all their equipment from their home, travel, bring all my equipment for the sound, set everything up hours and hours prior, go through sound check, have my guys there do what they do best for hours at a time, tear everything down, take it all back home. And oh, by the way, we're paying for insurance. We're paying for the equipment leases. This is money. This is not cheap. This isn't free. And you're going to give us a $2 burger. Yeah, I'm not your guy. It kind of blew my mind when I heard that. Like, why don't we do that at Walmart? Why don't people say, "Hey, look, I like this T-shirt, but I'll give you $1 for it"? We don't. You see a price
yeah.
and you buy it, right? If it's not for you, you don't even buy it. So yeah, when that came through, I was actually kind of offended when it came through. Like, no, you're not going to get a band and $100,000 worth of equipment in our time for free. It's not going to happen.
I sensed that once they found out you were a former Marine, they're like, "Oh, he'll do it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And no,
Yep.
but it's a great point though to share with anybody who's got a business. It's okay to say no because you can't do you can do X number of free events a
Yeah.
year. It can't be a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, so we do some free events. We
mhm,
do. So one big one that we do for Onslow County. Let me back up here. We have the contract for the Onslow County Parks and Recs Department, right? So They do several events throughout the year, 4th of July, which with our stage and outdoor concert sound, Christmas events, some even really small ones where we just honestly bring a speaker on Bluetooth, like whatever. We got all of those events. And the way we give back is we do 2 events for them for free. Okay, great. So we have a mutual agreement here. I'll do these 2 for free, but we get all the rest. And everyone's happy with it. So yeah, that I'm down with. But when people say, hey, we'll give you a sponsorship. Cool. Sponsorship does not put food in the pit table
Yeah.
for my kids. I can't
Yeah.
do a sponsorship, you know?
Yeah, the decision is which ones you want to do for free,
Right.
not that
Right.
people tell you that. So no, I'm glad you
Exactly.
glad you brought that up. Do you have a preference of the type of events you do that are your favorites?
Yeah. For me, it's large corporate events, large, very formal, very detail oriented events is what I love. We actually did one for a member in our BNI, Rebecca. She's a member of the Montessori school here in Jacksonville, and they have a fundraiser they do every year, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And when I talked to her, I told her everything we do. She lit up. I mean, her eyes got huge, and we got that contract. Well, what it was is we supplied, man, we did, let's see, the charcuterie board, we did catering, full decoration and planning, lighting, sound services, and video services. We had a big, huge screen about 10 feet up in the sky for them. But it was very elegant. It was very pretty. Was not a DJ setup, right? We had what we call delay towers in my industry, where if you have a very long room, you can do what's called a delay tower. So instead of having your 2 main sound system up front blasting the entire room, the people up front hate life, right? So you have these at a lower volume and set another speaker off in a distance, and you delay that signal. So when the
Oh,
sound wave hits this speaker, then it fires, and you can have a more uniform sound around the room without blasting people's eardrums out. So things like that. That took some work. It took some. You have to know what you're doing for those kind of things. Proper microphones, proper sound, proper lighting. That was an event that I really love to do. And we actually have the contract for the Museum of the Marine here in Jacksonville, and they're going to be doing those kind of events as well. So that's the stuff I'm really loving and focusing on. The stuff that it takes expertise, it takes time. You have to really know what you're doing, and it's got to be perfect every time because you don't get a redo. you
yeah.
know, those are the events I love to do.
And you are the point person for those and certainly boots on the
Yeah,
ground,
yeah,
right?
I run those.
All right. Yeah. How many different tuxes do you have that you can wear each night?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
How
that.
many tuxes do you have?
Quite a few,
Yep.
actually.
I bet. I bet. So once things oh, by the way, on day one, the number of employees for Dream Entertainment NC was how many?
Day one was me.
All right.
Yeah.
When did things start to grow? And who did you bring on as you were growing?
Well, that's when, about, like I said, about 2.5 years ago, that's when we really started to use our referral network in one business, right? That's when it really started to grow. And then at about a year ago, about a year and a half ago, I'd say, is when people really start learning about what we do, about how we make life easier for everybody, especially weddings. And venues caught on, like, oh my God, you guys are doing all of this? Yeah, yeah, we're doing all this for the client. They're not doing anything. And they start seeing how nice it is for everybody. And so they start referring us. And it's really just expanded exponentially over the last, yeah, about a year and a half now. But yeah, I mean, it's really just once you start get out there and doing it, you got to put the work in. After that, it kind of just starts coming. It worked out pretty well for us.
Are you gone 3 nights a week? Stuff like that?
Sometimes,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes. Now, a lot of the events I do are still local. We do some up in Raleigh and Charlotte, things like that, and that's of course a weekend. But most of the times, I'll my days are long. If I'm doing like a wedding, for example, I'll leave the house around noon, be fully set up. The wedding starts at 3 or 4. Wedding gets done at 10 or 11. Tear down, come home by 1, do the all same thing the next day, kind of a deal. So weekends is really when I'm working the most. Weekdays, like today, is the best time to talk to me. So.
Yeah. So when did you know something was clicking with this idea for Dream Entertainment?
Honestly, it was probably about the 3rd contract we got that we had, multiple packages put together. Because at first it was figuring it out, like, how are we doing this? How are we gonna contract it? Because they want this addendum they want added, and photo booth wants that addendum added. Well, I need this addendum added for the DJ. So really kind of figuring it all out in the very beginning. By about the 3rd time we started really bundling, it all just kinda came together. I mean, it really did, you know? We had, all the contracts digital, we can drag and drop what we need per vendor, and it just it became to the point where, man, now we're rolling. Now, recently, we brought on a sales team from somebody else we met through BNI, out here in Jacksonville, Bethany Long. She's amazing, by the way. I wanna give a huge shout out to Bethany Long. She is a sales coach, and amazing work that she's done, not only personally through me to help me be a better business owner, but help me grow my company. Huge shout out to Bethany Long. But she helped me get my sales team up and running. So now we have a remote sales team. So when leads come in from the business, I can't take all the leads, you know, so I start handing them out to them and they can take care of that aspect of it. And if they have any questions or concerns, boom, hit me up. We'll talk, you know, I'll take care of them. But it's been a lifesaver, really buying back your time. And we've heard that phrase before. So yeah, now that they're up and running, I can see the snowball effect happening.
So are you looking at just the whole state or just Charlotte to the beach?
Well, we were started on the coast, you know, and then we're working west as it goes right now. Now that we have teams in Raleigh and Charlotte, that's a huge market. Obviously, you know, a lot more people there, a lot more weddings, a lot more income in that area. So I don't know how it's going to be once we start really growing out there because we have a lot of competition in those areas, which is fine. I have no problem with competition. I think competition is a good thing for any business, right? But we'll see how it goes once we start hitting those market really hard.
You said that Michelle Meredith got you into BNI. What clicked when you first visited your chapter? What clicked that you
Yeah,
knew
so
you
my
needed to be
chapter is
there?
very relaxed. I've gone to a couple other chapters as visitors, and honestly, they just weren't for me. The style, you know, the BNI chapter in Jacksonville is very relaxed. It's a very relaxed environment. The funny thing is, I knew a lot of people that were already there. My insurance agent was already there. You know, Meredith is actually works up the street from me. She owns a nursery. We buy our chicken feed from her. You know, and a few other people I knew were there already. So I was like, wow, I know you guys. I went through as a visitor a few times, realized how relaxed it was and how well it fit me. And yeah, I pulled the trigger and decided to join. Brought on a lot of people that work for me over there. I brought my accountant on. She's now a member of BNI, and business has been very good for everybody out there.
For how long did it take you to get understanding of a productive and effective elevator pitch? Because you truly can do a lot of things for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, what I do differently is I adjust my elevator pitch every week, right? Because I've got so many services to offer. You can't pitch all this in 45 seconds. You just can't, right? So what I try to do is I pretend like I'm talking to somebody physically because we all know an elevator pitch is different to a group than it is to Mike, right? Because if it's Mike, I can ask questions. Well, have you ever done an event before? Where are you going to be at? You know, and I can start asking the questions to narrow down the conversation. When BNI, you can't do that. So what I do is I pretend like I have somebody in front of me and I'll talk to that person and I'll pitch and talk about our catering. You know, then the next time I'll talk about our DJ services. Next time I'll talk about our professional sound services. So for me, I try to tailor it and move it around every day or every time. So that way my mind stays fresh and I can hit something else every time I get there.
Nice. So at different events, where some of the other places you've had to pitch in, like if you had to cook anything or run anything or set up tables?
No, no, nothing like that. But you know, I did put a post up. I don't know if you saw the other post I put up. I put one on my Facebook page, and it's interesting because I don't know the last time we actually got invited to an event. And I'm not saying like, oh, I want to go, you know, to your wedding, invite me to your wedding. But it's just like, I don't remember the last time we went to a wedding, you know, or we went to an event because we're always working these daggone things, you know? And it's just funny because I would love to. Yeah, let's go to a wedding. Let's go to your party. Let's have a great time. But people just, you know, I haven't gone to an event myself for a while. One I did go to a few years back was my friend's wedding, and he asked me to be the bartender. Yeah, cool, man. I'll
Mhm.
pour drinks for you, no problem. You know, just a good friend of mine, so why not? But yeah, it's been a while since I've actually gone to an event myself.
And what I have found is when you go visit something in your industry, you don't judge, but you sit around and look and go, ooh, not that, or they missed this, and get just kind of start sizing up what, oh, wouldn't have done that.
Yes, and you know what's funny about that is I'm a perfectionist. I really am. You know, when it comes to speaker placement, they got to be in the right spot. You got to have chords showing. It's got to be professional. It's got to look good. It just has to. You know, and so I'm just looking at things that most people don't pick out. Well, I explained this to my wife, and she said she went to an event with her work up in Wilmington, and they had a DJ, which you know, whatever, fine. You know, And she goes, Ben, I couldn't even enjoy it. I was looking at his wires. I was looking at his speaker placement. I was looking at the angles of the speakers. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. In a couple of lifetimes ago, I was dealing with some venues that had food and beverage, and that's really my first chance to deal with the health inspector.
Mhm.
And you can lose points on a health inspection just because your paperwork's not in order. Because you're 97 out of 100 doesn't mean you have rats in the kitchen. So my brother and my two boys and his son were going into an East Carolina basketball game years ago. So this had to have been 20 years ago. And we walked into this restaurant. I forget what kind it was. My brother goes, "Oh yeah, this is a good one. I like this." We walked in. I saw 87.8, and I said, "We're out of here," because you
Yeah.
got to try to get 87.8.
Yeah. That's no bueno at all.
But it's funny though. Once you're in an industry, you're like, yeah. So those are
Yep,
funny.
yep. And the thing in my industry is the funny thing is that a lot of people want a speaker. They just want sound, right? There's so much to a speaker. And
Yeah.
there's long throw speakers, there's short throw speakers, there's wide angle speakers. There's more narrow speakers. You have to have the right tool for the job, you know? And so people are like, "Oh, just bring your gear."
Mhm.
Yeah, cool, man. What kind of room are we working in?
Yeah.
How big
Yeah.
is this thing? What's our goal? Are we doing audio for music? Are we doing a band? Are we doing just vocals? Well, vocals doesn't take as much. I can do different kind of sound systems. So, yeah, those are things that go through my mind. Oh, what kind of microphones am I going to use for this system? Why am I using this wireless system and not this wireless system? My wife hates it because I have a bunch of toys and all the electronic gear outside. Do you need all these speakers? Well, there are different tools for different jobs. So,
Yeah, and you found out that most, non-event people like us, we have no idea. I
no
need
idea.
a good
Yeah,
sound. I need good
that's right.
sound for the events. Like, okay.
And the one of the best compliments we can get in our industry is no complaints.
Yep,
That's really the best compliment because sometimes it's just ear piercing loud,
yep,
or there's too much echo in a room, But if somebody just says, "Oh yeah, it was good," that's a great compliment for me
yep.
because they're not complaining.
I hear you, I hear you.
Yeah.
Alright, so you mentioned your wife, Brandy, so one of my favorite questions on the show is, asking my married guests, so how did you 2 meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
No, we don't tell the story the same way. So
Wow, that was quick.
yeah. All right. So we're both in the Marines. Okay. When I was in the Marines, I was a diesel mechanic. All right. But my first few months in my unit, they had me upstairs in what's called the adjutant office, which is the head office underneath the CO of the battalion, doing paperwork, right? Way out of my element. I wasn't supposed to be there. Um, but after about 6 months, I gotta be careful how I say this now. I'm gonna change some of the language, Marine Corps language, right? After about 6 months, my staff sergeant comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Horak, you've got a female coming in to take your position so I can get you down to a shop. I need you to train her in. You've got 2 weeks." Great.
Okay.
Cool. Right. So Brandy comes in and she's sitting at my desk. I said, "Hey, man, let me finish typing some of this stuff up here. I got to finish this and I'll show you some programs." She says, "Okay, yeah, no problem." Well, she starts dozing off, just kind of just nodding her head. And we're in an office full of Marines. You can't sleep. I tapped her knee. I said, "Hey, wake up. You can't sleep in here. We'll get in trouble." She goes, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a long night." I said, "All good, dude. Just don't sleep." Again, I'm finishing up this award or whatever I'm typing up, and she just starts dozing off. And we're all Marines. So "Hey, you can't sleep in here. Wake up. Staff sergeant's right behind you." She goes, "I'm so sorry. I had a lot of drink last night." Like, "Cool, dude. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just don't sleep." And so I hit print. I go to the printer and I go to my staff sergeant. He's reading over this paper I had. Well, Brandy, the female, was right behind me and she's knocked out. Right? And this is where I gotta be careful what I say here. My staff sergeant looked at me and he was just fresh out of the drill field. So he's a drill instructor. So he had that big, mean drill instructor eye pop up and he goes, "Brandy," or he goes, "Horak, go wake her up." Let's just say that. Right. And I looked over, and when I said, "Hey, wake up," she flung up, and her hair was in a bun. Well, she flipped her head so hard that her bun popped out, and all the little pieces that hold her hair together flipped around and were bouncing around the room. And she'll tell the story as, "Oh, that never happened. I woke up and it was no problem." But no, no, no. What really happened was she flipped up so quick because she heard people yelling that her bun flop out of her hair. So that's how I met my lovely wife, Brandy.
I'm glad she didn't reach for her sidearm. That would have been,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep. So how did it go from that moment to a first date, and where was the first official date?
First date was actually to the so went to the we went to go see SpongeBob the movie
Oh,
actually at the
gee,
movie theaters.
big
We
spender.
went there and we went to Applebee's. Yeah, pretty
Okay.
fun day.
So did you ask her out, and how long did that take?
I asked her out. It was pretty quick actually. Let's see. We got there in September. We started dating in October. So it only
Uh,
took about a month. And we were dating for 7 months and then we got married. We've been married for 21 years now. So
Up north.
here.
Oh, here. Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah, we were both in Camp Lejeune in
Okay. So you at
Jacksonville.
least got through the 2-week training before you asked her out,
That's
right?
it. Yeah, we got
Okay.
through that. Yeah.
That's being a good Marine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I always like to hear because most stories are not told the same. Guys, you're one of the few that admitted, no, we don't. Most guys are like, yeah, I think we do. And I talk to their wives like, we don't. We don't. So,
Well, and like I said, I
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
careful how I say it with Marine stories, but of course around our Marine buddies,
Yeah.
it all comes out.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a completely different story.
But she didn't sleep much anymore on that job, right?
Oh no, no,
Yeah.
no, not that.
There you
And
go.
what's funny is when I was deployed to Iraq, I was deployed in 05, 06. The whole unit was gone. Okay, so here I was married at the point we were married, and she was just a clerk in the big office. When the whole unit was gone, she was actually the battalion adjutant, which is technically third in line in the chain of command, right?
Wow.
As a corporal, which is very rare, right? Because we're all gone. So while we were gone, she said she was in meetings with like two-star generals and the base commander and all this kind of stuff. And meanwhile, I'm in Iraq, like, dude, hey, what do we got going on? Anything cool? Who's coming home early? So I got all the inside scoop and all that stuff. That was kind of nice, you know.
What skills did you bring from the Marines to start and run your own business?
I think it's the details. It's all in the details. Being a Marine, it's highly detail oriented. All the way down to you have any little, what we call IPs on your uniform, little, pieces that hang off. But for me, honestly the hardest part was to not be as detail oriented to people who aren't detail oriented. Okay, so when my setups are out there and I'm working, it's perfect every time. Every time. There's zero feedback. It's perfect every time. That's what I demand of myself. But a friend of mine said to me, he goes, look, man, if you can get 80% perfect from people that work from you, that's perfect because they're not you. So that was the hardest part for me is to learn that, hey, not everyone's perfect. It's okay to not be perfect. But what I do is I'm perfect every time. Yeah.
No pressure there, huh?
Nope. No pressure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you've got the business up and running, you're finding some success. What 2 or 3 things do you do regularly to keep growing it and getting the word out?
Well, in my industry, it's more hitting socials. You got to stay on top of social. You can get forgot very quickly in my industry. And every industry is different. What we do is I do something called a pop buy. Have you ever heard that term, pop
Yeah.
buy?
Yep.
Okay, I learned that. I'm also a real estate agent too, so I learned that in the real estate industry, where I pop buy events or venues, where every other Tuesday I'll go to Rustic Barn, and every other Wednesday I go to Copper and Stowe.
Yep.
I'll bring donuts or I'll bring coffee. After a while, they start knowing you. You know their kids. You know when the kids' birthdays are, and you know what kind of coffee they like. So you pop in and just bring them a cup of coffee. Hey, love you. Got you a cup of coffee. Hope you're doing good. And little things like that. You don't even have to talk business, just to be fresh on their mind to get those referrals in. I actually had one lady who gave me so many referrals, Mike, so many referrals from this company that I was able to put away a percentage every single time, and I sent her and her husband on a cruise.
Wow.
Okay. So take care of the people who take care of you, and I promise you, you're going to get tenfold back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because a lot of times as business owners, we don't have to sell. We just need to wave.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wave. Donuts, box of
That's it.
donuts is, hey, still here. Glad things are going well.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
the relationship.
totally, totally. And when I surprised her with that cruise for her and her husband,
Oh,
and she was like, "Oh my god," and so of course she's locked.
yeah.
So everything that goes to her venue pretty
Yep.
much comes through me, and we take care of her. So you have to take care of the people that take care of you. It's
Yep.
just there's
Now,
no wrong with that.
it's all 2 things in business. The people, if you have good people, which you vetted enough, you found out that they understand there is no perfect, there's just one way to do it,
That's
right?
it.
So
Right.
now they
Yep.
know, right? And it's the people you have with you and the relationships you build. And
Right.
everybody's
Exactly
like, "Oh,
right.
I got the greatest product." Okay.
Hmm.
We don't
Right.
that doesn't mean you're going to get all the business.
Yeah, no, exactly right. So, yeah, have the people around you, right? So I'm playing with the salt shaker. I gotta have something in my hand. But no, people around you, our vendors, they know that if they have a contract from you, they're paid every time. They
Yep.
know they're getting paid. If you go to just a client, the client can just back out and you're not getting paid. When we take a contract, we have a certain percentage that we take
Mhm.
to know that our vendors are getting paid for that day. Prime example, we had a few weddings this year in October that canceled like a week prior. It happens, right? Well,
Oh,
now I've got all these vendors that aren't working on the busiest time of the year. Well, the money's there. I'm still paying them for
yeah.
that day. You're paying for that day. So these guys know this, and it just makes them want to work for us more. They give a better product when they go out to our clients. It's the whole picture.
Yeah, and that's another interesting point because a number of businesses, oh, I don't want to ask for any money up front. And I'm like, why?
No, you got to.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to.
especially if you have product
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
vendors, you got to pay. Yeah, yeah. And they
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like,
Because in
well,
us, you're paying for the day.
yeah,
Yes, it's your wedding day, but you're booking that guy for that day. He cannot work anywhere else that day.
yeah.
So I've got to make sure he can feed his family for working that day.
So they canceled the week of. Ooh,
Hmm.
hope everything's all right.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, but yeah,
Yeah,
Now there was one situation. It was very unfortunate. The future groom passed unexpectedly,
yeah.
and I did talk to the vendors about what's going on, and we all agreed, nope, we're good, and we gave the money back because they
Cool.
needed it. But yeah, other than that, it's things happen.
Very nice. All right.
Yeah,
So looking at your bio, you did some time at Coastal Carolina.
yeah.
When you enrolled, what was the plan?
So at the time, I wanted to get a master's in business. I want to get an MBA at the time, right? Because I knew, like again, my family was a bunch of entrepreneurs. They all own businesses in Minnesota, and I thought that's what I want to do. Well, I'm not a math guy, Mike. I'm not very good at math. Okay, I like details, but I'm not good at math. And I found out very quickly that yeah, this is not something I can pursue. So I went to Coastal and I pursued computer IT, just general IT, and got an associates with that. And yeah, it's just nice to have a little background, a little bit of programming background, a little bit of networking background. Uh, Actually, some of that moved to today because a lot of things we do now is all wireless and DMX, and DMX is a light protocol. Uh, Wireless DMX driven that goes through wireless networks. It's nice to know how they actually operate
So do you get questions from your friends because you're kind of the techie guy?
all the time, all the
And
time.
how much fun has that been?
I mean, I don't mind answering the questions, but it's also like, look, man, can
Yeah,
I just show you this?
yeah. Or you're at parties or somewhere, you're the guy, oh, hey, Ben, quick question. And you know it's not going to be a quick
It's
question.
never a quick
No,
question.
it is not.
Never.
So,
Yeah.
how good of a decision was it to go into the Marines?
Oh, it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. 100%. As a young kid, I was not in the right path in life, and I think I would be in a very, very bad situation if I didn't, to be completely honest with you.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So I met my wife and we got three beautiful kids.
Yep.
And I mean, it's,
There you go.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you didn't enjoy your time in the Marines, you met your wife and you got 3 kids. Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
yep.
That's
There you
right.
go.
That's right.
Uh,
Well, I joined after 9/11, and after 9/11, it's like, okay, I want to go do something. I did. I was deployed, went to Iraq. I did my job, came home, and got out. I was, very happy with
Very
that.
nice. Good for you, man. Good for you. All right. So, if somebody listening to the show today wants to start an event business,
Mm.
what's one or two things they need to keep in mind and or have in place?
One thing you got to know about starting an event business. Wow. Hidden costs is one. Um, Event business can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun because you're doing things that you've never thought you'd ever do. I never thought I'd have a kilted wedding. That was awesome. That was fun. You know, um, but the things you don't realize is what it really takes to make these things happen. And I'm gonna go back to cost real quick. You can buy budget equipment that'll get you by, but it's not going to do the job. You know, when we go out to an event, man, we're dragging along $30,000 worth of gear. It's not cheap. Well, now you got $30,000 of gear. How are you going to get it there? Well, you can't bring it in your Geo Metro. You got to have a nice vehicle to pull a good trailer. You can't buy a cheap trailer because what if that trailer stalls on you or breaks down on the way there? There's so much things that has to be in place before you can just jump into the event business. You have to have proper insurance.
Yeah.
Proper insurance. That's a big one. If your speaker falls over, some drunk guy knocks it over and breaks their leg, you're liable for that. You got to have insurance for it. I would really just say it's the hidden cost going into it. Know exactly what you're getting into, the type of events you want to do, and even if that's available in your market, because sometimes it's just not. It's really just not. So you got to make sure that you have a market for it. You don't have as much competition that's just going to wash you out. I mean, there's so much going on in that question. That's more than just that. We can do a whole podcast on that.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's another thing I've learned from my insurance friends is most everybody has a policy, but not everybody has coverage.
Yes.
And you're
totally.
right. Oh yeah. If it doesn't say in here broken leg, sorry, we're coming after your house.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, my agent is a BNI guy. Yeah, he's in my chapter, and yeah, when I talked to him, I said, "Look, dude, we're adding this on. Are we good? Let me go back and check." And that's one thing I love about BNI, having a guy here. Right here, I can call Richie right now, and I get a hold of Richie, not an 800 number and somebody.
Yep.
I love BNI for that. You can get a hold of the person you need when you want to.
There's just certain cell phone numbers you need. Yeah, and that's one of them. So
my insurance agent and my accountant. Those are my two favorites.
There you go. So real quick, from starting a business standpoint, what's a tip you would pass on to somebody wanting to start whatever business it is? What's the best thing they can do?
Just start.
Love it.
Just start. Just do it. You can try to plan all you want. You can do all these things. You can try to think of all the social. You don't even need an LLC to start. You just start. My wife has something up there in the bathroom actually, and it says, dang, what does it say? It says that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. You have to start.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. All right, folks, we've been putting Ben's phone number up on the screen here. What's the website they can go check your stuff out?
DreamEntertainmentNC.com.
Yep, and add on the NC, folks. There's a reason why it's there. So
there is absolutely.
So if you're in the Jacksonville area, Raleigh, Durham, Charlotte, and you need an event, you've now met your event person. So, Ben, appreciate you having you on the show. Good stuff. Love the stories.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you.
And we'll see everybody next time on Capital to the Coast BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.